Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Sister. It's so nice to be here. Like Sister said, I'm originally from New York, the Archdiocese of New York. And just a few months ago, my family and I moved to the beautiful state of Utah. So it's so nice to be back here at the March. The first time I came to the March was probably about 15 years ago. And I remember hearing from people that had been to the March many times before, telling me to make sure that when you go down the avenue and start going up the hill, that you turn and look behind you. And what a sight that is to see, a mass of thousands of people walking, marching together. And as you continue walking up the hill, and you get a little closer to the Supreme Courthouse, it gets quieter as people stop to listen to the women and men from Silent No More who are sharing their stories of abortions that they've experienced. As I listened that first time, I could hear and relate to their sorrow and grief and regret. I understood that anguish and that suffering that I heard in their voices. And I remember being so nervous too, because I was thinking, oh my goodness, I wonder if the people I came to the march with, and even some of my own children who are standing right next to me, what if they knew that I was one of those women? What would they think of me? Even though I had gone to counseling and received healing from the pain of my abortion many years prior to being at that march, I still carried so much shame. It was a secret shame I tried to keep hidden. As far as anybody knew, I was a devout Catholic homeschooling mom of 6, and that was something that I would never have done. I was at the march. I was pro-life. But I'm also the 1 in 4 women that will have had an abortion by the time they are in their mid-40s. As for men, it's about the same, about 1 in 4 men who will participate in an abortion. So how did I become one of those 4 women that has had an abortion? How could I have done such a thing? That question plagued me for such a long time. How could I have done such a thing? It was only when I began to look at my whole life, before my abortion, as far back as my own childhood, that I could see how I did what I did, and begin to forgive myself and truly know God's love for me and know that I am His beloved daughter. I grew up in a Catholic home. My 4 brothers and I all went to Catholic schools. My dad worked in the city, and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. We had summers at the Jersey Shore, and we lived what I thought was a loving, normal home life. But there were some problems at home too, because of unresolved wounds and behaviors in my own parents' lives. There was a lot of tension at home, and we grew up with the attitude of children should be seen and not heard. So over time, I developed a lot of anxieties, insecurities, and low self-esteem. And to alleviate those feelings, by the time I was in high school, I turned to hanging out with friends, getting high, and drinking. No one asked what was wrong, why I had gone from being a top student in my class to cutting classes and getting high. I just became the girl with the attitude at school and at home. A failed attempt at going away to college added to my anxieties, so that by the time I was in my early 20s, I had developed severe panic attacks and had to drop out of school altogether. I began waitressing to get just enough money to hang out and party. I started going out with my boyfriend when I was 24, and I got pregnant when I was 26. I was so overwhelmed with fear and anxiety and doubt about having a baby. We had no money, no health insurance. How could we handle having a baby to take care of? I worried about being an embarrassment and a disappointment to my family. And I was also angry for letting it happen. How could I be so stupid? My insecurities and low self-esteem made it impossible for me to consider any other possibilities. After crying for days, feeling like an abortion was wrong, but thinking I couldn't handle taking care of a baby, I decided that I would have an abortion. I had known people who had abortions, and they seemed like they were okay. I thought if I just did it early enough, it wouldn't be anything yet. After the abortion, I felt relief. The problem was gone, and life did go back to the way it was before, and I went back to drinking and partying. Eventually, 2 years later, my boyfriend and I got married, and within a year, our son was born. The first time they placed him in my arms, I looked down at his beautiful, perfect face, and I thought, oh, great. Now what am I going to do with you? I had no overwhelming motherly love for him. The first time my son looked into his mother's eyes, he didn't see love and tenderness, but instead rejection and disdain. By the time he was 2 months old, however, those initial feelings of anger and frustration changed. Everything changed. As I pushed him in the stroller one day, I thought, I never knew I could be so happy. I never knew I could love someone as much as I loved him. Later that same day, as I laid him on the bed to change him and was looking down at him, I had this thought that seemed to come out of nowhere. If I didn't have that abortion, my other baby would be alive. That abortion killed my baby. I killed my first baby. The reality of what I had done was overwhelming. It was like a brick wall of denial had come crashing down, and I couldn't build it back up. I became so crippled with guilt and despair. I was barely functioning throughout the day and hardly able to take care of my newborn son. He was such a reminder to me of what I had done. In looking for help, I called the clinic where I had had the abortion, and they told me that my feelings were not uncommon. And they gave me the number of a therapist they refer women to who have similar feelings after abortion. Fortunately, that therapist was away on vacation when I called, so I never did speak with her. In the meantime, I thought, although I hadn't been going to church for quite some time, that I should go to confession. I was so desperate. I needed to get rid of the unrelenting pain and the guilt. So I went to a church by my house where a very kind priest heard my confession. Through my tears, I kept telling him how sorry I was for having had an abortion, and he kept repeating the same words to me over and over again. God loves you. God loves you so much. I thought he must not be hearing or understanding what I'm saying, but he kept repeating the same words to me with such gentleness and such compassion. God loves you. God loves you so much. After my confession, since I was still struggling emotionally, this same priest, Father Peter, gave me the phone number for Project Rachel, the Catholic Church's healing ministry for those suffering after abortion. Through Project Rachel, I was able to connect with counselors who helped me walk through the pain and grief of my abortion. I'm so grateful for them. Eventually, I was also able to go to the Sisters of Life Hope and Healing retreats and experience more of God's mercy. Being with the sisters and others along the journey has helped me to know that I'm not alone and how much God loves me. Healing from an abortion is a journey with many different layers, which allow us to go deeper. God always wants so much more for us. The expertise and training of those in abortion healing ministries have been such a big part of my emotional and spiritual healing. But also, what's been just as important is the kindness and the compassion that I have received, not just from those in these healing ministries, but also from those closest to me. My friends, and most especially my family, their love and kindness and compassion has helped me to feel safe and strong enough to open my heart more, to receive more of God's grace and His healing mercy. So today, as I march up the avenue with my family and friends, I'll again look at the thousands of people marching together. And when I reach the top of the hill and stop in front of those women and men sharing their sorrow, their grief, and regret, I'll also hear those same words from Father Peter when he said to me so many years ago, and know that they are true for everyone. God loves you. God loves you so much. Truly, our God is so kind, so very kind, and so merciful. Thank you.